Welcome back to Birds of a Feather. This is your daily Baltimore sports podcast. My name is Nathan Stroud, and today we're going to be going over and talking about the Orioles and Giants Game 3 and the series finale of this three-game series on the road in San Francisco. Unfortunately, the Orioles do lose this game in a big way. They lose 13-2. They were on the verge of getting shut out before they scored 2 runs in the ninth inning, but obviously it did not matter. The Orioles lost 13-2. They were getting, destroyed from start to finish. It was a very, very rough game for the Orioles. Very rough game. The Giants came out there today and absolutely destroyed us. Destroyed our pitching. Our offense wasn't able to do anything against Justin Verlander in the year 2025. So that's, a conversation that we need to go over. But also, the pitching today was horrible. Tomoyuki Sagano goes out there today and has his worst start of the season by far. His ERA dropped like 3 points or something like that. It was at like a 4.0 going into the game, and now it's at like a 4.35. So Tomoyuki Sagano had not a pretty bad start, a very, very bad start today for Tomo. And the offense just overall wasn't able to do anything. The pitching was bad. The offense was bad. Overall, just a complete disastrous game. And the Orioles lose this series 2-1 to the Giants. They won yesterday, but they lost today and obviously on Friday. And then we have an upcoming series against the Padres starting tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A series against the Padres. We're going to go visit some old friends in San Diego. Obviously, I'm talking about Ryan O'Hearn, Ramon Laureano, who is on the Ravens. Not the Ravens. Oh my God, football season's right around the corner. I'm thinking about the Ravens so much as well. But obviously Ramon Laureano and Ryan O'Hearn on the Orioles this season before we traded him at the deadline, and then Manny Machado as well, who was on the Orioles a long time ago. Going to be visiting some old friends, so that's going to be a fun series. And then we're also going to be talking about just some upcoming things throughout this week that we're going to be doing as we go into NFL season. The NFL season officially starts on Thursday, but obviously the first Ravens game does start on Sunday. As for a lot of other teams, first game is on Sunday as well. Sunday Night Football, obviously, against Buffalo, week 1 game for the Ravens. We're kind of going to be talking about some stuff, what we're going to be doing this week, because there is a lot of stuff planned, a lot of content planned throughout this week leading up to Sunday's game. So we're just going to kind of give an overview on that. But let's just get right into this Orioles game. So going over this Orioles and Giants game, obviously the Orioles lose 2-13 to the Giants, a complete blowout for the Giants. The Orioles did a good job getting on base, but they did go 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, so they weren't really able to bring a lot of guys home. They left 12 guys on base, so they had plenty of opportunities to bring guys home, but unfortunately we just couldn't really do it at a high level. Obviously it was 2-13. I don't really even think bringing runners home would have even made much of a difference, because the Giants did score 13 runs, so the Orioles offense really had no chance in this game. But the offense played horrible. The pitching was horrible. Another classic Orioles game. We've seen so many of these this season where the starting pitching just starts off to a really bad start. The offense was just flat the whole game. And that's exactly what happened in today's game. So going over the offense real quick, again, 10 total hits for the offense compared to the Giants' 16. 2 for 12 with runners in scoring position, 12 guys left on base. Jackson Holliday went 1 for 2 with an RBI and a run scored. So he actually drove in one of the runs and scored one of the runs in this game for the Orioles. So Jackson Holliday contributed into both runs that the Orioles scored. And Jackson Holliday had a really good game today. He went 1 for 2, obviously scored a run, had an RBI, and then got walked 3 times in this game, which is a career high for Jackson Holliday. So Jackson got on base 4 times in this game, 1 hit, 3 walks, drove in a run, scored a run himself. Shout out to Jackson Holliday. He had a very good game today, obviously, in the environment that they were in. Obviously, they lost this game by 11 runs, and Jackson Holliday really, did the best that he could in this game, and had a very solid game overall. And he's been putting together a really good stretch of games here for the Orioles. Jackson Holliday's been playing very good here recently. Obviously, we talked about him hoping to end the season off and end this last month of the season off on a high note, and he's been doing a very good job at that recently, so hopefully he can continue to do that. Jeremiah Jackson in this game increases his hit streak to 10 games now. A 10-game hit streak for Jeremiah Jackson. Went 1 for 5 in today's game. He continues to just play amazing. Gunnar Henderson goes 2 for 5 with a run, or with an RBI. So Jackson Holiday and Gunnar Henderson were the two guys that drove in both runs today for the Orioles. Shout out to those guys. Obviously, those are really, as of right now, the two pillars of the future for the Orioles. Jackson and Gunnar, both of those guys contributed to the runs scored today, but obviously, again, it didn't matter because we lost by 11 runs. So Gunnar Henderson, 2-hit day, drove in a run. Ryan Mountcastle continues to play great recently. He has another multi-hit game in this series. All three of the games in this series, Ryan Mountcastle had at least 2 hits. He had 3 hits in the first game. He had 2 hits yesterday, and he had 2 hits today. Mountie goes 2 for 4 in this game. Colton Cowser goes 0 for 5. Dylan Beavers goes 1 for 3. Samuel Basayo goes 0 for 3 with a walk. Luis Vasquez goes 2 for 4, and Daniel Johnson goes 1 for 4 with a run scored. So overall, the offense was able to get on base pretty well. There was the only 2 Orioles that didn't get a hit in this game was Samuel Basayo and Colton Cowser, but everyone else at least got a hit in this game. And Basayo at least got on base. Cowser didn't get on base at all today, but overall the offense didn't really do much. They struggled very much with runners in scoring position. They left 12 guys on base. They only scored 2 runs. Not a great day for the offense at all. But it was an even worse day for the Orioles pitching, who gave up 13 runs in this game. Tomoyuki Sagano gets the loss in this game, obviously. Gets through only 3.1 innings. Got 80 pitches in 3.1 innings. 80 pitches. 3.1 innings, 10 hits, 7 runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts and a home run. 10 hits, 7 runs in 3.1 innings. A horrible, horrible start for Tomoyuki Sagano. His ERA is up to a 4.41, so it actually jumped up like 0.4 points as well. So that's just insane. Again, an 80 pitch count through 3 innings. Horrible, horrible work by Tomoyuki Sagano. And it's very hard to win a game when your starting pitcher gives up 7 runs in 3 innings. Cade Stroud came in, did what he could, 1.2 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, didn't give up a run. Corbin Martin came in and gave up 3 runs, but none of them were earned. Yanir Cano got through 1.1 innings, 1 hit, no runs, no walks. And then Austin Jackson ended up coming in and being the pinch hitter in this game. Obviously, he's the backup catcher on this Orioles team, but he came in as a position player that was pitching, and he ended up giving up 3 runs, so it just made it look even worse. A 13-2 loss for the Orioles, an absolute, just pure disaster. We had to bring out a position player to pitch. And yesterday the Giants had a position player pitching, and we scored 0 runs off of that. And then today we had a position player come out and pitch, and they scored 3 runs off of it. So, it's just how it goes. But overall, Orioles offense didn't really do much. They got on base well, but they couldn't bring anyone home, and the Orioles pitching was a disaster from the start. But going over to the game tomorrow, also the Orioles record is now 62-70 or 61-76 on the season, back to being 14 games below 500. And then obviously tomorrow is also the start of September. Tomorrow is September 1st. The last month of regular season baseball, the last few weeks of regular season baseball, and the Orioles are kicking off the month of September on the last stretch of series against the San Diego Padres in San Diego. Obviously, we're going to get to see Ryan O'Hearn, we're going to get to see Ramon Laureano, and we're going to get to see Manny Machado. So that's going to be really cool to see. But tomorrow it is going to be Kyle Bradish pitching for the Orioles. He'll be making his second start of the year. Obviously, in his first start, he had a very, very good outing. Gave up 2 runs, but had 10 strikeouts across 6 innings. So very solid first start for Kyle Bradish. So hopefully he can go out there tomorrow against Dylan Cease and get the Orioles a win in Game 1 of the series. Bradish versus Cease should be a pretty good matchup. Dylan Cease obviously hasn't really had that good of a year this year. The strikeout numbers are obviously there, but the ERA is a little bit high for his liking, a 4.82. But again, Kyle Bradish making his second start of the year, and hopefully he can go out there and continue to perform well, continue to do well, and hopefully end off this last month well, going into spring training obviously, and then going into next season. And lastly, the last thing that I want to cover in this episode is obviously talking about this Sunday, a week from today, literally exactly a week from this time right now. The Ravens and Bills will be playing in their Sunday night football game exactly 1 week from today. It's 7:32 right now. Or sorry, they're going to be actually well into the game. The game next week starts at 6 p.m. And right now it is like an hour and a half already into there. So exactly a week from today, the Ravens and Bills will be in the middle of their game. But again, 1 week from today, Ravens, Bills, primetime game, first Sunday night football game of the season. It's the week 1 game in Buffalo. It's a vengeance game. Obviously, look back to how the Ravens season ended last year, a heartbreaking loss to the Bills in the divisional round of the playoffs, and the Ravens have a chance to really get their revenge against the Bills in this game. Obviously, it is a week 1 game, but it does, I'm sure a lot of those guys, especially Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews, are going to have a big chip on their shoulder for everything that happened in the game last year, or the game that happened earlier this year in the divisional round. But again, Ravens, Bills, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, the 2 MVP front runners. Again, obviously you can argue the 2 best teams in the AFC as well. It's going to be an absolute clash. It's going to be a battle. And again, 1 week from today is when this happens. But all throughout this week, starting tomorrow on Monday, there will be Ravens content pretty much every single day. I don't know if it's going to be every single day leading up to the game, but at least like 4 days up until next Sunday, or up until this, obviously next week. We will be going over some Ravens stuff. We're going to be talking about some players to look out for in this game, also some players to look out for this season. We're going to be doing kind of a season preview on the expectations, what we want to do, just overall like a big just preview kind of the season, what we did this offseason, the draft stuff, training camp news, injuries, all that stuff, just heading into the year. Obviously, you've got to do one of those at the start of every single season, so we are going to be doing that probably sometime later this week. But the day before the game, we're going to be kind of doing a game preview, obviously. But we are going to be doing a season preview on the Ravens in general. We're going to be doing, just players to look out for in this game, players to look out for the season, and just all of that type of stuff. So we've got a lot of content planned this week heading into the game, and we're going to be doing that like every single week while we wait for Ravens games, because obviously it's going to be a lot longer of a wait between Ravens games and Orioles games, because Orioles games are pretty much every single day. Ravens games are once a week, and that's not even including the bye week. So Ravens games are once a week. So, obviously that's the time to shine. That's the time to strike on those types of things. But in the downtime, while we wait for those games throughout the week, we're going to have plenty of content to roll out for you guys. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, football is officially kicking into high gear, really starting tomorrow. Game week practice for all the teams starts tomorrow. And it's showtime. It really is almost showtime for this Ravens team. College football obviously came back this weekend, and just seeing college football on TV really kind of puts you in that headspace, like, wow, football's really back. Football is really back, and we're going to see it, obviously, this Thursday with Cowboys-Eagles. Friday, I think it's Chiefs-Chargers, and then obviously Sunday, football all day long. And then it closes out on Sunday with Ravens-Bills, and then I think there's a Monday night game as well. So first week of football is here. Starts tomorrow, I guess, is game week, but it's a very exciting time to be a football fan. Obviously, we've been doing pretty much only Orioles content on this channel for pretty much the entire time that this channel's been a thing. I started this channel and started this podcast back on opening day. Opening day was my first episode of this show, and obviously it's been a long MLB season. The Orioles have gone through so much stuff, but the way that Orioles baseball has been playing, especially today, really makes you miss Ravens football. Or the way that Orioles baseball has been really makes you miss Ravens football, especially today. But overall, we've been doing a ton of baseball content, obviously covering every single Orioles game, and that's going to continue all throughout this month, all throughout the rest of the season. We're still going to cover every single Orioles game, but for a lot of them, they're going to be mixed in with a lot of Ravens content as well. And then once the Orioles season ends at the end of this month, obviously end of September is the end of the season for the Orioles, because they will not be making the playoffs. So once the season ends for the Orioles, it's going to be purely just Ravens, probably all throughout October and November, and then in December, I know we get into some free agent stuff and some MLB offseason stuff. So obviously, we'll sprinkle in any sort of Orioles content that goes on in December. But much like we did, for baseball and football already, how we pretty much cover only Orioles baseball, and then we'll sprinkle in Ravens content. Obviously, we talked about the draft a lot. We talked about the offseason stuff a lot, free agent signings, spring, training camp stuff. It's gonna be the same thing for the Orioles while we have Ravens football on. We'll talk about any sort of offseason stuff, any trades, any signings, all that stuff like that. But Ravens content is going to be the main focus, obviously, as we close out this year. And obviously, while Orioles baseball is not on, Ravens football is going to be the focus. So just kind of want to, put that into perspective. I'm not going to be talking about the Orioles every single day, much like I haven't talked about the Ravens every single day since this show's been a thing. But Ravens content will be talked about every single day, really starting tomorrow. And then, it's the month of September is going to be crazy because you have Orioles and Ravens stuff at the same time. But after that, we're going to be focusing only on football, sprinkling in, obviously, the occasional baseball stuff. So a lot of stuff's been going on, a lot of content for you guys. Sorry if that was a little bit of a yap session. I just kind of wanted to make it clear that the way that this channel and the way that this podcast is going is great, and I love all the support that you guys have shown it. But it's football season. It's really about time for that football season. Obviously, the Ravens have extremely high expectations, Super Bowl aspirations, and it's going to be a ton of fun. But thank you guys so much for tuning into and listening to this episode of Birds of a Feather. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe on YouTube, follow up on Spotify, like the video on YouTube as well. Also, make sure to follow the Instagram and the Twitter. It's going to be in the link of the bio of whatever platform you're listening on. Make sure to give that a follow. Obviously, very tough loss for the Orioles today, but we've said that how many times this year? How many times? Countless times this year we've said that. So, obviously, Orioles lose, but starting tomorrow, it is game week for the Ravens, and Ravens content will be in full gear. So that's obviously very exciting. I appreciate all the support you guys have given me. I appreciate all of it. And again, I'll see you guys tomorrow. You have a great sales day. Go O's, go Ravens, and I'll see you all later. Peace out.